oxygen for trigger picking and pulling up in the bloody and going with my adrenaline. I see you waving that white flag side and stop surrender and die. You better let through that direct that'll rock. Or angel of audio, portable power, driving bodies of the hemoglobin power models now. I'm a drop of common data coming from the trumpet sound. Come on down underground the your fall down.
Eat the mic? Okay. It don't taste good though. How you guys doing out there? My name's Adam Taylor. I'm all the way from Dallas, Texas. I'm with the Honor Leaders Wings team, and I just want to tell you a little bit about myself tonight. You know, I grew up in a home with both my parents, and when I was about 9 years old, my mom and dad got divorced, and you know, I was kind of glad because my dad was being abusive. Drank a lot. When they got divorced, I wasn't really sad or anything like that. I was happy to get him out of the house. But he kept coming back. Every time we would move away, he would come down. And he wanted to be with my mom so much. So he would always come find us no matter where we went. To my grandma's house. We moved in with her for a little bit. So he ended up tracking us down. And so we had to keep on moving because he would always find us. And so that gave me a lot of bitterness in my heart. You know, I had a lot of hatred for that man. I didn't even know I hated him. And my mom, you know, she was so used to having a man in her life that she felt like she needed a man in her life to be
Adam?
So she used to go clubbing. You know, she went to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. She didn't get back until 7. And then she would hit the club and wouldn't come back till about 4 in the morning or something like that. So I had a lot of free time on my hands. You know, by the time she went to work in the morning, I was gone for school. And I came back and went out and did my own thing. And I got into, you know, my mom and dad both smoked weed.
Yeah, my little
I was
kids.
young.
Yeah.
And so my mom used to have this Coca-Cola pot. And she used to always keep it filled up with weed. And my older brother smoked. So he was like, yeah, let's get some. So we got some. And, that's the first time I ever got high was with my older brother. And I liked it. So we used to steal weed from my mom all the time. It was always there. And started drinking, hanging with the wrong crowd. And I got picked on at school a lot when I was younger. So, you know, I got in the gangs because I felt like I needed some help. You know, I had been jumped.
Maybe a bigger man or something.
Yeah.
I got stabbed in my back. I've been stabbed in my leg.
Yeah, there should be a lot of people there.
You know what they say, what goes around comes around. That's very true. And I've been in so many fights, fighting all the time, always unhappy. But I remember my grandma, she always used to go to church. And every time I would see her, she always had this joy. And everybody loved my grandma, everybody in the family. That was like, I don't know, we all looked up to her. And she would always invite me to church. I never wanted to go because Saturday nights are my party night. So I wouldn't try to wake up early to go to church. But, you know, one time they were having church dinner at church. And so I told her I would go with her. So I went, and as soon as I went into the church, First Indian Baptist Church of Dallas, the minute I stepped in there, I felt love, and I felt a feeling that I never felt before. I didn't know what it was at the time, but, you know, I didn't think much of it. I ate and left, and I went a few more times, but then this one particular time I went, the preacher was preaching, and it felt like he was talking directly to me. And so, you know, he did the invitation. He said, if you want to invite Jesus into your heart, come down to the altar. I didn't go, even though I felt like I should have went. I didn't go. Some years passed, I got me more and more trouble. And so I went to church another time, and this dude named Jimmy Murphy, he goes to Glorieta in Oklahoma. Some of the Oklahomans might know him. And he was down in Fort Worth one time. He grew up in Dallas, so my family knows him real well. And so he, you know, he was preaching and everything, and his message touched me, and I started crying. And I was always the type that I thought it was unmanly to cry, but if there's any man here who thinks it's unmanly to cry, it's not. because the strongest man that ever walked the face of this earth, Jesus Christ, cried, so it's not. But, you know, it touched me, so I started crying, and I went to the altar, and I really didn't know what it meant, so you give my heart to Jesus. So, I said the prayer, but when I went home, it was back to the same thing as I was still smoking. I did stop drinking, though. I kept smoking. I got kicked out of school a few more times. And a lot of people told me that I wouldn't graduate, that I'd never amount to nothing, that I'd be a bum all my life. So, I tried real hard to graduate, and I did. My last day was June 27, 2003, not too long ago. And the youth leader at my church, he told me about this warrior leadership summit that was going to be held in Nebraska. And I didn't know much about it, but, he told me in church one Sunday, and I felt like God wanted me to go to this. And I didn't really know much about it, like I said, but then he told me the dates. And, I was kind of confused. I was like, well, God, I felt like you wanted me to go to this, but I know my graduation's coming up, and I worked too hard to miss my graduation. I'm not about to miss it. So I had told my youth leader I'd go. He called me on a Wednesday, and he said, are you still going? I said, no, I'm not going to be able to make it, because, actually, he called me to tell me that in order for me to go to the Warrior Leadership Summit, that I'll have to miss my graduation. I said, I'm sorry, I ain't going to be able to go to Nebraska. I'm going to stay here and graduate. I worked too hard. And I said to myself that, I can't go on this trip to Nebraska, but I felt God, as I was reading my Bible every day and praying, I felt God was telling me, it was like he asked me, who said that I couldn't go? And I thought about it, and so I decided to come on the trip. And what we do is this Omnibus Wings team is we go to different reservations, and we set up these events for you guys, and people come up here and tell their whole story. And you see what happened earlier. It's not easy because we've all been through so much. We've been through heartaches, pains, drugs, gangs, we've been molested. Everything that you guys deal with, we've been through, we can relate to you. And as you can see with the braids and, I have tattoos, I'm not your typical Christian that you might think, but I tell you one thing that I know, that once you invite Jesus into your heart, that's the greatest thing that will ever happen to you. And there's nothing like it. All the weed that I smoked and the alcohol that I drank, all the fights that I was in, none of that, it doesn't compare to doing the Lord's work, doing his service. Coming out here and telling you guys what Jesus has done in my life means more to me than you know. I missed my graduation for it. So I just hope you guys appreciate each and every one of these people right here, because they love you. More importantly, they love Jesus, and you can have a relationship with them. All you have to do is invite them into your heart. And, it's not about going to church or being a good person, because you can't earn your way into heaven. If that was possible, Jesus didn't have to die on the cross. But he did die on the cross so that it could be possible for each and every one of us to go to heaven. And Satan is probably telling some of you right now, there's spiritual warfare going on for each and one of your souls that have never accepted Christ. And he's probably telling you that I'm up here lying to you, and, we're just, whatever he's telling you, don't believe it. Because Jesus loves you, and he always has. He has a plan and a purpose for your life. And if you feel hopeless, or you feel like you have a lot of pain in your heart, and nothing will take that away, the drugs won't take it away, whatever. Nothing that you try will take it away, but Jesus will take that away. Whatever pain that you're feeling, whatever hurts that you have in your heart, only Jesus Christ can take that away. And he wants to have a relationship with you. The Bible says he's knocking at the door. Are you going to answer that door?
I want to share with you guys a story that happened a few years ago. There was a little girl. She was 18 months old, and she was at her
Tanya from New
house,
Mexico.
and she was playing in the backyard. And the backyard was pretty big, and she wandered a little too far. She went and she fell in a well shaft. It was really, really deep. She fell so deep, and
So the day's
she was
pretty